Hey, welcome back, everyone. From the emails that I've received, the messages that I've gotten through social media, you appear to be enjoying these. So as long as you're enjoying them and getting some benefit from them, I'm going to keep going. One of the things that I'm going to continue for this episode is there is no primary topic. So the tips for this episode are not universal across all three groups. There will be tips for each individual group. Let's get into round 12 of the tactical transition tips. For the close range group, that group that's immediately transitioning to maybe a year out, plan for a break. For the medium range group, those who are transitioning in, say, 3 to 5 years maybe, stay connected with those who are transitioning now. And for my long range group, those who are, you're a decade or more away, document your experiences now.
When you transition out is try to model all of the good things, the discipline, the structure, that little bit of rigidity into your everyday life. And I think that that's a great way to make that transition happen, man.
Figuring out who you are, not what you did. It's not who you are. It's a piece, but it's not the whole you.
Take the time to invest in yourself because it means everything. That's what the difference is. The difference is not just to collect a check. It's to live 25 years, 30, 40 years after you retire and pay it forward that way.
Close range group. Plan for a break. You're coming to your transition, especially if you've done a career, 20 years, 30 years. Give yourself that break. But only you are going to know how long of a break is right for you. I would say that if you go too short, it's not going to have enough benefit for you. If you take too long of a break, it might have diminishing returns for you. Too short, I would say, is make your break at least, if not maybe a little bit longer, than the longest vacation you've taken. Now, if you happen to be in the group who regularly takes a month vacation or a 3-month vacation every other couple of years, great. I don't necessarily know if that's a needed break. But for most of us, we all eke out those 5 to 7 day vacations during our career. And what I'm saying is give yourself a little bit more time than that. A couple weeks, maybe even a month, just to allow yourself to decompress and make that transition. With that, though, the longer break you take, it's going to, at least the way I see it, and from the research that I've done, is going to have more of a negative impact on you. The thing you have to be mindful of, and in a previous episode, I talked about how you need to have a window of about 4 to 6 months for the normal process of finding and onboarding a new job. So you could be working that into this break potentially. But if you've got something lined up, you're good to go. You could literally transition, retire, whatever you want to talk about on a Friday, start the new job the following Monday. If you're in that position, I would strongly encourage you to say, can I start a month from now? Can I start 2 weeks from now? And just give yourself that ability to have that downtime. If you're going to try to expand that, before you actively start looking, before you say to yourself, okay, I've made my transition, now it's time to go get the next job, whatever it's going to be, and you haven't even started looking at that yet, the longer of a break that you give yourself, you start dealing with potentially diminishing returns. The job market may change. Jobs that are available for you today or jobs that you're qualified for today may not be there 4 months down the road, 6 months down the road, if you're even able to stretch it all the way out, if you're a year down the road. So think about that in that yes, take the break, but don't give yourself too long of a break because you could break yourself out of a job opportunity. The other component to taking a long break is you might then have to explain why there was a significant gap in your work time on your resume. If you retire January 1, 2024, but you're not applying or you're not in the hiring process until into 2025 or potentially longer, if you have a significant break in service, then you might need to explain that gap. I would say if you put yourself in that situation, make sure you explain it in a positive way. I took this break for X number of reasons, to really focus on my family, to help my family get transitioned to having me around, to get my family settled in, say, a new location. Always put a positive spin on it, as opposed to, yeah, I just felt like sitting on the couch and I didn't really want to do anything, but I'm 6 months into it, I'm a year into it, and now I'm just bored. So put any gap in service into a positive light. The other thing you have to be mindful of is an extended break going to have an impact on your skill set? Does this time away from the job, especially if you're transitioning from something where you do the job today and you're looking to utilize that same skill set tomorrow, especially if it's a physical skill set where there could be rust that comes with downtime, then be mindful of that. If you are going to take an extended break, do what you need to do to keep your skill set honed. If it's mechanical in nature, if it's, if you're going into an environment where you're still going to be performing in a dignitary type role, in a shooting type role, in a leadership type role. Leadership might not be as much, but anything that you've got physical characteristics to your job and that skill set you have now, just don't let it get too far removed that you start getting rusty at it and it starts impacting your ability to potentially do that job again. The other thing that's going to be a factor in how long of a break you take is how well you've planned and how available your fundings are, your financial situation is. Will your financial situation allow you to take that 1 year sabbatical and go find yourself or whatever it is? If you've got that capability and you've planned in the financial aspect to where you can survive for a year until you decide to go back to work, take advantage of it. But for many of us who maybe don't have that option, we're all limited by how much discretionary funds we have. And that's going to dictate how long of a break that you're going to be able to give yourself. Like I said previously, I would aim for taking at least your longest vacation. It's kind of the parameters that I would say. I think that that's a good reference point to really kind of giving yourself that time to take that deep breath and settle into you're now no longer a first responder. You're now no longer a veteran. You're now no longer active in that old role, and you can transition into just being a civilian. If you're going to take a short break, I would say focus on your health, both your mental and physical health, and focus on your family. You don't really have the protracted amount of time to really do much else, so really dive into what's best for you physically, emotionally, mentally, and what's best for your family. If you have the ability to take a longer break, finances intact, your family is situated and everything else, all of those other puzzle pieces are in place that will allow you to take a longer break, what I would say is focus on improving yourself, learning more about what makes you tick, what makes you a good candidate for whatever job you're going to move on to. If you have some weaknesses or deficiencies, then devote that time to making yourself a little bit better candidate. So you take that step back now and say, okay, I'm not going to jump into the job market and try to get this job that I want. I'm going to take 3 months, 5 months, a year, but I'm going to make myself even better so that when I do go to apply for that job, I am the best candidate, or at least I'm a better candidate than what I am today. I would say for any of it though, no matter how long of a break you're going to take, when you also factor in that there is going to be necessary time to get through the onboarding process wherever you're going to end up, develop a routine that each day you do. Whatever it is, just make sure that you start each day doing the same thing and keep that routine. Because one of the things that we're all used to coming from these careers is a routine, whether it be shift work, whether it be deployment cycle. All of those things, we've become accustomed to a very regimented routine. And to completely go off the rails may be detrimental to each of us. I can't say how it would impact you, but I do honestly believe that you do need to develop a routine schedule for your transition once you've transitioned, so that it helps you stay focused and stay fixated on your next goal, as opposed to allowing yourself to kind of flounder and potentially lose sight of what that next goal is. So figure out the routine that works for you, implement that routine, it'll benefit you. For my medium group, stay connected with those who are transitioning now. We've all experienced, how do I want to put this? We've all worked with people who have retired, who have left the job, who have moved on, whatever reason. And I can guarantee you that probably all of us have said, oh yeah, we're going to stay in touch. And I'll throw myself under the bus on this one. Do we stay in touch with all of those people well? And I'm going to say no. Unfortunately, it's very much a out of sight, out of mind. When they walk out that door closes, and unfortunately, they are oftentimes forgotten. We could have all the best intentions in the world that last week, that last day, whatever. Hey, we're going to stay in contact. But unfortunately, life gets in the way. They're not in the forefront of our mind, and they're easily forgotten about. The problem is that when we forget about them, far too many of them lose their purpose. They get into their transition. They lose their mission, their goal, their reasoning to go on with life. Unfortunately, many times that does end up in us getting that phone call that somebody we know very close to us chose to take their life. And so I would say that by you reaching out to those that are transitioning on a regular basis, check in on them. How's it going? How have you been? How are you doing? Just a simple check-in. It doesn't have to be every day, but it should be on a regular basis, especially if that was somebody that you considered close to. I think a lot of times we call our coworkers, our partners, our teammates, whatever you want to refer to it as friends, but when it really comes right down to it, do we really treat them like friends? So maybe you work on improving yourself by trying to be a better friend to them. You're giving them, by staying in contact with them, you give them the ability to maintain their legacy, their sense of importance. It gives them that little bit, and it might only need to be that lifesaver for just that small period. If you use the analogy, they just got to get across that body of water, that rushing river, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you connecting with them on a regular basis is just enough for them to keep their head above water till they get their feet on the other side and they get their footing. But it gives them the sense that maybe they are still important and that they have that ability to stay connected to what they used to do. I'm a firm believer that these jobs should never define who you are, but I'm also realistic to understand that these jobs are very important to us, and we chose these careers because of what they or their ability to give back to us. In conjunction with you being able to potentially be their lifeline back to what they used to do, you could also be that little nudge and encouragement pushing them forward to get them to succeed by simply asking questions like, hey, how's the job hunting coming? Or how's that new job going? It's something that gives them the sense that what they're doing, again, has purpose, and it may be that little nudge to keep moving forward. You ultimately, though, you may not see it, they may not voice it to you, but you could be that voice of encouragement if they're struggling. So when you reach out, be sincere in what you're asking, be sincere in checking in on them, and listen to what they're saying beyond just the words they're using. How are they delivering it? Hey, everything is great. And you're clearly getting an impression that maybe not everything is great, as opposed to, hey man, thanks for calling. I've been really busy this week. I was here, I was there. Then their actions and their words are mirroring each other, in that if they say they're doing good and they're giving off that vibe that they're doing good, all right. But if they say they're doing good and the vibe isn't matching that, something you may want to keep working on. Completely opposite side. If they flat out tell you, hey, I'm struggling, I've lost my purpose, I've lost my way, whatever it is, then be there for them, and be there for them genuinely as a friend, not just simply like, hey, I just wanted to stay in contact with you. Now, from the other side of it, though, this is also going to have a benefit to you. Obviously, you're going to be learning about transitioning in real time, and you're going to get it straight from the horse's mouth. Like I said, you'll be able to find out what's been their experience with getting into the job market. How's their job search going? You'll know, did they have something lined up before they transition, and then did it fall through? Did they not have anything lined up and they were able to find something right away, or it's been a struggle to find it? All of this information is going to be coming in real time because you're staying in regular contact with them, as opposed to you happen to run into them 2 years down the road at another retirement or something, and now they got to try to condense everything that they've been doing into 5 or 10 minutes. So stay in regular contact because it has benefit to you for real-time intelligence gathering. You'll also be able to find out what's worked for them, but equally what didn't work. What were some of the negative experiences they had maybe during an interview process or with their resume that they could have done better? All those little lessons that they're learning, they'll be able to impart them to you. They're going to start increasing their network of people that they now know. You may want to get into that same profession. So now they're going to be able to introduce you to their network. They're going to be able to present you or introduce you to potential job opportunities, or they can even mentor you into this new space. So there is a catch-22, double-edged sword, whatever you want to call it, in that you want to be genuine and be sincere in that you're reaching out to them and making sure that their transition is going well and that they're doing well. But in turn, it's going to have a positive benefit to you because you're going to be gathering information and intelligence that's eventually going to help you in your transition. But always remember this: aim to give back more than you're receiving. Be a friend first and a information gatherer second. For my long range group, start documenting your experiences right now. Don't be like most of us, where you come to the end of your career, you don't have as many pictures as you thought you did. You're trying to remember all the cool things or even just some of the interesting things that you did, and you remember bits and pieces of it. You might remember that one story, But I'm sure all of us who have been doing these jobs for a couple decades have a lot more stories than that. But it's not just about the stories and the pictures, because the memories are great. You're looking to build who you are, and your experiences help you do that. I would suggest at minimum, just start making notes. Make notes on any training you go to. Now, most trainings, they send you a certificate. You can put that with your resume, or at least note it on a resume if needed. You can create your portfolio of all the training that you've been to. But I would also suggest taking some notes to give you some refreshers on exactly what that specific training did. It's going to have a title, whatever it is, interviewing or hazmat or gas deployment, whatever it is. That's the title. And you'll be able to, for the most part, say, yeah, I went to this training class and here's what it was about. But there might be some specifics related to going to that training class that you might forget. So make some notes on that. Along the same lines, whenever you get informal training, you have the ability to talk to a subject matter expert on a given topic, even if all it is a passing conversation in the hallway and they happen to give you a good pointer about doing A, B, or C. Document it. Hey, I spoke to so-and-so on this date. They told me when I'm dealing with this situation to do this. Just keep those notes for yourself. Additionally, by writing them or writing notes to yourself, it helps ingrain the memory and the training into your mind better. So it's kind of got a dual purpose. You remember maybe some of the subtle nuances, but as an overall total, you'll remember more of the complexities of the training by writing it down and taking notes. It also, down the road, you have more information to tell a better story to whoever, somebody you're mentoring, somebody you're sitting across the table with trying to get a job. You'll have those subtle details or the more nuanced details of a given story than simply, 10 years ago, I went to this training class and I learned X. Well, no, you want to be able to expand on that. I've already said this. Take pictures. Start taking pictures. All of us have a phone in our pocket. When I started in my career, that was not a regular thing. It wasn't even a thing at that time. So I would say put yourself in the position of just start taking more pictures. How do I want to say this? Make sure that they're pictures that you're allowed to take. Make sure that they don't include subjects or materials or situations that are going to get you in trouble if they come out. But share, cool pictures. We all love them that you look back and you may have forgotten about it. And that's, you with your team doing something, or you were on a specific operation or whatever, something that's just going to bring back those memories. And that's just more of a personal thing. But at the same token, a lot more pictures, it makes your retirement party a lot easier to plan, or it helps your family plan your retirement party because there's a lot of pictures that they can show those who didn't really know the totality of your career. I would suggest now I want to focus more on how it can benefit you even more for your transition. Anybody who's operated in an environment where you've had to do after action reports on big missions, you understand what the purpose of them are. Basically, what do we do right, what do we do wrong, and what do we need to improve on? Well, start doing that maybe on a little bit more of a macro level. Maybe you do it on some of your day-to-day activities. Hey, again, you're going back to writing. I did X, whatever X is. It might even just be, I had to change a fuel sensor on an airplane, or whatever you do. Document it. And then, this is the first time on today's date, whatever it is, this is the first time I had to do it. Here's some of the things I learned, man. Don't do X, Y, and Z again. Make sure that I'm not changed it, anything like that before, but what I'm getting at is you're going to learn those little, I should have done that before. Turn this off, whatever. But those little notes, maybe you'll immediately remember it the next time. But what if it's something that you don't do but once every 6-8 months? You may be right back in the same place again 6 or 8 months from now. Whereas if you have these little notes, you can go back, oh, remember what did I do last time I did this? Refer back to it. Refer back to the things that you did right. Okay, here's what I did, but here's what I did wrong, and here's where I need to improve. Maybe I need to get some more training. Maybe I need to get more reps doing this. So do your own little after action reports and see where your deficiencies are in a given task and where you might be able to improve on them. I would say in conjunction with that, start doing a daily journal. I know this might sound ridiculous, and granted, I didn't do it. In hindsight, I wish I would have, but just journal your day. What'd you do today? What kind of things did you get involved in? What did you get to do? Again, within limitations. Write what you're clearly able to write about. If it's something that is not for any type of public consumption, you could get in more trouble by addressing it, then be as vague as you need to be. But just journal your day-to-day activities. If nothing else, imagine being able to give this book to your kids or your grandkids and just let them kind of see, hey, here's a snapshot of what grandma or grandpa or mom or dad did during their career. It may be boring on, if the journal's 300 pages, maybe it's 200 pages that they just kind of go, okay, but man, there could be 5 or 10 pages in there that they just get enthralled with. And, oh, can you tell me more about this? And then you'll go back and kind of read it, and it may bring back other memories for you. It's 2024. Everybody and their grandmother is writing books. If you had a journal of your career, you'd be surprised. Probably somebody wants to read that book. So start journaling today. You never know what benefit it's going to have for you in the long run. The most important thing, in my opinion, is it's going to allow you to monitor your growth and your progress in your career. Because you can look back, for those of us who've on the first responder side, man, that first day out of the academy and you're with your training officer and it doesn't feel like you can tie your shoes correctly. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, you're doing stuff that would have caused you to vapor lock on day one. And so it might just be fun to look back at your progress. But at the same token, when it comes time to make your transition and you can document the growth that you made in your career, having that information available to you is going to be beneficial. Where that ties into is start today, get your resume current, and then keep it up to date. So as you're journaling, as you're doing your individual AARs, as you're just making notes on your career, make sure the highlights are getting updated in your resume. And then as you come closer to your transition, maybe that's when you get with somebody who's a professional at working a resume, and they'll help you whittle down stuff that maybe isn't as important, or you could maybe clump or group information into a single condensed category, area, paragraph, whatever you want to refer to it as. But just make sure that you're adding all of the important things to your resume today. So in closing, for my short-term group, you're coming up on your transition. Look forward to it. Enjoy it. It's exciting. I hope that for those that are in this period, this pending transition is a good thing for you. But work in a break. Take that, like I said, at minimum, your longest vacation that you took while you were active. You need to recharge yourself. You need to recharge your family. You need to recharge all those things that make you you away from what these jobs are today. Take that break. For the medium range group, maintain those connections with the people that are in your life today as they make their transition. You're going to benefit from them and their experiences and what they can provide you going through their transition, but you're also going to provide them with benefit. And the benefit that you're going to give to them is probably greater for them than it is for you, but that allows you to give back and do it because it genuinely is the right thing to do to help them as their, and it may sound weird, but you're helping them move through their transition. For my long range group, like I said, document your career now. There's going to come a point that you're going to need to tell your entire story. It's better to have too much information and pare it down than only having the wave tops and not really remembering the details. Start taking notes now. Do a journal. Do your own little after action reports. But keep that information for you so that when you do need to look back on it, you have it. If you have no need for it, great. But think about what you could do to your kids or your grandkids and just giving them a better picture of what you did in your career. As always, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate that you're listening, watching, however you're consuming these episodes. Whatever you need out of these, please let me know. If I'm not touching on something or an aspect, tell me. I'll incorporate it. I'll figure out a way, if I can, to put it into these episodes. But I do believe that if you have a question, if something isn't hitting you correctly, it's probably hitting somebody else. So don't wait. Don't wait for them to ask the question. Send me an email. Go to my website, transitiondrillpodcast.com. You can send me a contact information there. I'm on all the social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. However you want to reach out to me, send me a question, send me a comment. I'll definitely incorporate as much as I can into these episodes. As always, please follow, please like, and please share the podcast. Helping me grow it is going to allow me to give back to you more. Other than that, thank you again, and I'll catch you next time.